going on, guys? George Chief from the wagon here. This week we are going to be doing a very simple but pretty common repair on air-cooled VWs. We're going to change out some axle boots. If you've seen enough VWs, you know this is a pretty common sight. Just look at that build up there, an insane amount of fluid. These are the boots that were on there. They were not the original one-piecers, they're already two-piece boots. These are probably my least favorite style, this accordion style. I've never seen a pair that didn't leak. So just from the car sitting in the air, we had two puddles coming down. I'm actually doing a rewire on this car, but ran into this problem. First thing I did, I had actually Ocean do it, so nothing got recorded. Take the clamps off, big and small, and then pull it back, and I told him, I said, just cut it off. We have our replacement parts here. These are available through Impy. Febby makes them, a few people make them, but as far as supply, it gets a little lower. Impy becomes the only one available, and I've had actually really good luck with these. So this is part number 861091 from Impy catalog. Comes with new clamps, new hardware, and the boots themselves. These are a much better design. They're more like the OE ones. When I say OE, I'm referring to the shape of it. Like if you have an unsplit boot, that's what it's going to look like. It wouldn't look like that accordion piece of crap over there. We're going to get these things ready to put on. I'm going to show you a couple of tips that I do. First, let's go look at the book real quick. There is some controversy over the direction as to which this seam should be facing. And according to this book here, the joining faces of the split dust sleeve should point horizontally towards the rear. And if you look there, they're doing it horizontal. There's your clutch arm, so you know that's the direction of the engine right there. I usually put them about 1 o'clock or 11 o'clock on either side. I realized that Russ's transmission has the boots on in the direction that we're actually installing them right now. So I thought I'd give you an example of that. I just got off the horn with a different Russell from Old Speed. And he gave me a tip for you DIYers that we're going to try out right now. So let me get stuff set up. So you see me using the screw jack. Obviously not everybody has a lip, not everybody has a screw jack. So I'm going to show you something that he told me about, and we're going to see how it works. So give me a minute to set it up, and I'll let you know. You can't see that? So what I did is I put a bolt in between the spring plate and that bottom torsion housing, and that should not let the axle drop all the way down. That's going to be your screw jack now, and it keeps the angle more true to the ride height. So we're going to raise the car up and see how it does. I'm going to go set one up on the other side. So that's what I got set up there. Now we're going to raise the car up and see how it does. So that worked like a champ. So that is now holding our axle up at a more relatable to driving angle. I have left these boots off overnight to get these things to drain as much as possible. When you're putting that new boot on, if this is greasy like this, you're going to get a leak. If you give oil a path, it will take that path. Some people may not have that luxury. At least give yourself an hour or so, maybe 30 minutes even. Otherwise, you're going to be fighting a river that comes out of this. I do the same thing when I do axle seals. I leave it overnight. We are going to take my favorite cleaner, Dawn dishwashing soap, and get these axles all cleaned up. You're also going to want to clean this area here. You need to make sure that that's a good dry surface for your new boot to get a seal up against. You can see we have the underside of those cleaned off. Inside there, I'm referring to this right here. That is where the boot is going to clamp around on both of them. So we have gone through with the Dawn dishwashing soap and a microfiber and pulled it through to make sure there is no residual gear oil left on it. The axle tube itself has been cleaned. So now we're going to prep it for install. I'm going to clean a little bit deeper on this because that's, you see how my finger's leaving a track in that? I don't want to contaminate my boot with that trash. So we'll clean a little bit deeper on both sides. It's just rubberized undercoating is all it is. That's a lot of people's restoration in the can happening right there. So we're going to get these cleaned up, put our boots on there, and I'm going to show you how I prep the boots for install. Look at that now. Clean up, guys. Clean everything before you install your new part on it. So I've cleaned both of those axle tubes up, got all that undercoating off of them. In preparation, I lay out my boot, my screws, my washers, and my nuts so they're going to bolt to it, and my clamps. The clamps do need to be taken completely apart and open because they're going to be placed over the axle. We're going to fire some controversy up. This is my boot. The boot has two pockets. So one is, let's call this the male side, protrudes outward, and let's call that the female side, goes inward. So I'm going to take 1211 sealant, and I just put a small bead inside there. We're not going crazy with this. We're not trying to fill this thing up. We're just putting a bead there. Okay? Nice little line. So then, now when these two, when they go into each other, like that, there's sealant on both sides of it. It's going to help because you don't really crank down on these when you tighten this hardware. You don't go crazy on it. You just want it to hold. But your clamps are what I'm going to call the Achilles heel of this. This I make sure that I have decent amount. So now you can see there, I have a decent amount of sealant on those. So first thing I do, we'll draw the boot over the axle, put it in position. So when I say into position, we're not actually putting it onto the transaxle right now. What I'm doing is I'm going to put all my hardware and put it all in there by hand. I'm going to move the camera so you can get a better look at what I'm doing right now. So I'm taking one of the Phillips bolts they give you and a washer on it, and I'm running it through the boot. Through it's 6 millimeters on these particular clamps, and we're going to open them all the way up. But right now we're just going to put them around the axle tube. Keep in mind, you need to have this, the actual nut end of it, in an accessible area once installed. Wherever you plan on placing it, it has to be accessible so you can tighten it once things are going. First, I choose to put mine on this end. So I'll be able to get to the front to get to it. So I'm wrapping around the axle. Same thing with your smaller clamp. So we've got both of these draped over. Now we're going to push that boot onto the actual transmission. So we're going to bring the boot up to it. We've got it bolted together along the seam here. So now we're bringing it up to there. You can see from my angle where you're at the top, so you're facing down on the axle right now. You're up in the fender well. I can see that I've got the bottom lipped over, so now I got to get the top over on that. Okay, so I'm getting it on there. So we've got our clamp over it now. front clamp on as well. So I am pushing in with this hand, okay? And I got from underneath, my clamp is accessible, and I just start to snug it up right now. Another thing I'm doing, I'm squeezing this way at my seam. I'm bringing the two halves together there. Right, I can see it's pulling together. You're going to want to put your inward clamp on first. I can feel there that I've drawn those two together right there. So now we're going to do the same thing out here. Make sure that I am loaded, putting pressure towards the gearbox and putting it in the same spot so it's accessible from the bottom. And once I get this thing closer to fitting, so now I draw it in by hand. I'm actually squeezing that part together as I tighten that clamp. And that's to make sure that this seam gets shut, especially with the way that VW is telling you to put it on that side like that. Because as axle articulates, it will stress that joint. So squeezing together really helps on those. And I can feel with my finger when I run it over that inside that those two ends are touching each other. And that is what you want. I just want to make sure that that thing is snug, that as it articulates, it cannot pull out of there. That is a split axle boot swapped on a Swingaxle transmission. All right, so I've worked this a little bit tighter. That's where those two ends meet up a little bit better. While I was on the phone with Russell, he was mentioning the fact like he does not do them this way. He does them the way I've always done them. 11 and 1 o'clock are the ways. So if this one 11 o'clock, that seam would be about here, and on the other side 1 o'clock. Same angle, just the opposite side of it when you're looking at a clock. I'm gonna leave these like this because I want to try it out. I want to see how it does. We're gonna experiment together. The guy Dave that owns this car is a cool mofo. If I have an issue, he knows that I'll address it on my dime, my time. I'll take care of it. I really want to try it the way the book says and see how it does. I think with the proper work, it might get it done. Yeah, this is going to get a reseal soon, or a replacement. It's going to be here for about, I'm going to say 3 weeks, because by the time I get done with it, this gentleman's going to be out of town, so it's going to have to sit around for a bit. And that's going to give me a good chance to, we're going to obviously fill the gearbox up. We're going to see if it leaks, if it causes issues. Then I'll change it before this gentleman even knows about it. If we put it together and there's no issues, no problems, then we learn something together.